now I'm recording this. Hopefully it'll work. I'm going to try something new. For those of you who missed the presentation earlier. And that's better. Had to change the lighting there for a second. But we're going to talk about rhythm and movement. And I'm going to share the screen here. Let me get to it for a second. Hopefully you can all see this screen. We're going to talk about rhythm and movement. And if you look at this fence, movement is how your eyes move when you look at something. So when you first look at this picture, your eyes generally will probably start here in the left corner and move along the fence down to the right. That's movement. The rhythm is kind of the consistency of the da 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 as you go. Okay. The next one is self-portrait by Jan Vermeer. And he was an artist, a Dutch artist back in the 1600s. And probably the first thing you see when you look at this painting is this curtain here, which kind of just stops your eyes from going off the page. And then it brings you back into where the people are, because people are more important than anything else in our minds. And our brains tend to see people. And so we would probably see the artist himself here first and then move to the model here. And other things that help point us toward the model is the floor. The diamonds, the pattern of the floor help move us in that direction, as well the fact that the artist is looking at her. So that kind of helps move us in that direction. And the things that keep us on her are the fact that this square here kind of just stops us from going all the way up. But even if we did, we come back to the curtain and come back to her again, because it just kind of is a flow. But that's how your eyes move. That's the rhythm, the movement and rhythm of the painting. Gradation is also part of movement and rhythm, and gradation is just how things gradually get smaller or larger as they go back. And this is a pretty consistent painting. They start out with really tall servers, and everything just leads back as it gets smaller and smaller and smaller with the people, the table, the columns. Everything's just moving backwards eventually to a point that if you were looking at a railroad track or something that would meet. But this doesn't extend far enough. But everything brings it back. There really isn't one central focus here, because your eyes just keep moving back and back and going back and forth almost in a V shape. Okay, in this painting by Grant Wood, you probably first look at this big hump here and go, what the heck is that? And it's just they've been plowing the fields, and they plow the fields and they'll plow it until they get to the middle. But the fact that these shapes repeat slowly bring your eyes to eventually to this one. Because if we didn't have this shape here, you probably wouldn't have even looked at this particular hill, because it's just a hill there in the distance. You might have looked at the clouds, because some of those are interesting, but just with the hills here, they just you probably would have stopped here, gone to the clouds, and just kind of stopped. But because this has the same pattern as these two, your eye goes, oh, there's another one. And you look around to see if there's any more. So your eyes again are pulled to the back of the painting. And that's all thought out, that's all intentional. This one by Grant Wood, your eyes will probably first, because of the light, see this big red truck coming. But as you look, you're kind of going, oh my goodness, this car passed this car and he's lost control, and this truck's coming around a blind corner he shouldn't have been passing on, and it's just going to get insane here in seconds. But the things that pull your eyes up here are not only the vehicles moving your eyes up, but the telephone poles as they get gradually smaller, and the fence posts as they move all along here. Oops, sorry about that. Getting things smaller. But again, moving your eye, keeping it interesting for you. Dynamics of Dog on a Leash by Giacomo Balla. Again, what they did is very little movement on the head and the back, but the tail and the feet definitely moving fast. Same with the owner. The skirt isn't moving much because it's probably a heavy coat, but the feet are moving a lot, so they just kind of repeated that. And we'll come back to this picture because this is similar to what you're going to be doing for your assignment. The leash just kind of flops around and you can see the movement there. This Tom's Heart Benton engineer's dream. The engineer is here. He's a train engineer and he's dreaming. And this is everybody engineer's nightmare that they come to a bridge and it's out. Well, even though he's asleep and he's horizontal, the bed is still angled, pulling us up toward this figure here with this waving the flag trying to stop the train. If you look at the train, the smoke is moving back, but it gets smaller to larger, but it's moving forward because we follow this beam of light that's also focused on the little figure with the red flag. So everything in this telephone pole here just kind of keeps us all in one big rotation riding through here, moving constantly from place to place to place. Again, that's how our eyes move. Alexander Calder, he was a mobilist. He did mobiles. And he always started with a larger piece to anchor it and then got smaller and smaller and smaller as they went. And these are kinetic mobiles. They move. So they're called kinetic. Here's another one. It has a base here. And he shows some tension by having this teeny little point here and just this one little curl here that's balancing all this stuff out here. It looks like a lot of weight, but it really isn't. It's very lightweight. And all this would be moving, and this whole thing could spin around too. But again, you're focused because the stand is right on this point right here, and then eventually you get out here and move around a little bit and maybe come over here. But this is that tension point there. We'll talk more about emphasis in another lesson. Okay, so let's go back to this image here. We have constant motion here, and what I want you to do for this assignment is I want you to find just a picture in the newspaper, something like this, something that might show some action. And what I did with this particular one, I had the availability to blow the ball up and the hand up, make it larger. So I did that. And then I took a piece of paper and I traced it. I just traced the hand. And when I did that, I then took another piece of paper and I put it up on the window. And I traced it multiple times, moving it just a little bit. Can you see that? Okay. Just a little bit each time. So it looks like the hand is actually dribbling the ball. So I traced it once and then I traced it again, moved it down a little bit, moved it down, moved it down, moved it down, moved it down. And did that about 8 times. So I went from this original, put it on the window, and just moved it up every time I wanted to retrace it. I did it all in pencil that first, and then I traced it in marker so that you could see it easier. I did that same thing with this one. This is a polo player. And I traced the initial one, but this time I did it on some tissue paper that I had. And you can, you know, if you wrap packages, your mom has some tissue paper laying around, you can use that. It'll show right through your image, you trace it, and end up with an image like this. And then what I did is I took more tissue paper, and I took my original, put underneath it, and I just moved it a little bit. But I didn't worry about tracing everything. Let me back this up a little bit. The heads are pretty much stationary. I felt the most motion would be in the legs and the mallet and the ball. So that's what I traced about 5 times. And I moved the paper over just a little bit each time and tied everything in to the original. So you don't have to move it far, just a little bit. But that's the assignment I want you to do. And you can, just like I said, find a picture in the paper. This was in yesterday's paper. You could use baseball player. You could use, there's a picture if you get the newspaper. If not, you can download something from the internet, print it out, copy that, find an ad, take a action picture of yourself or someone in your family and print that, download that. That would be fine. And that is going to be due. Look for your group me. I'll put the due date there. So make sure you have that ready the next time we meet in Zoom so you can show it to me so I can give you a grade for it. Okay? Please feel free to email me or group me if you have any questions about this assignment. Take care, guys.